Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I am your host for today's TAFA show. We're only looking at fundamental and technical analysis of your favorite cryptocurrency projects. Now, today's theme, the main theme, right? We look at everything. Well, mostly everything. Bitcoin at the level it is currently at right now. And I'll show you on the chart, which, by the way, a couple of you reached out, said you've been shorting this 86.5 level. Congrats to you. We've been talking about doing this for, I don't know, like 2 weeks now. Short the resistance. It's not time to long the support just yet. So just short the resistance. We'll probably get a bounce here. We'll take a look at the lower time frames on BTC and what is happening there. But we did breach that 86.5 level, but you just look at these candles. This is on the 4-hour chart for BTC, okay? When I do my technical analysis and I look at charts, I like to take a multi-prong approach. I look at patterns that are forming. I look at other indicators like momentum, volume, RSI, liquidity points, right? And then I look at candles as individual candles, and I look at candles as multiple candles, right? And so when I look at a candle like this rise, there was strength in this rally because you saw volume start to tick up as the price was. But what tells me and what keeps me in the short to immediate term bearish corner is the simple fact that no rally is sustained, and on the way down we get equal volume and equal volume on the downturns. And this rally we got here, this final candle, we saw volume decrease, so the momentum was waning. We hit a pivotal level at that 86.5. Well, technically, we got up to $87,000. And then immediately, we gave that 70% of that move back. That one candle that breached that 86.5 level that took us to 87, we gave 70% of that move back in one candle. And then now we're back down. But we are filling this range fairly nicely. Again, this is call it a rising wedge, or call it a bear pennant, whatever you want to call it. This is a bearish setup on the 4-hour. It's a bearish setup on the 6-hour. And we'll go down to the smaller minute time frames. But we're seeing a nice bounce here from BTC. So this is another key level. So I have two very important levels here. One is 84,169. This is your teal line. Two is a range between 86 and 86.5. Option one, or scenario one, is flip 84.1 into support, which it looks like we're doing right now as we speak. Okay, you can see, and I talked about it on the morning show briefly, but I want to go into a deeper analysis on the trading show because that's what we do here on the 2 p.m. Pacific stream. This 84 level has been the bane of Bitcoin's existence going back to the beginning of the month, right? We just cannot breach the 84 level. We tried. This actually looked good until ultimately we lost momentum, and then we came back down, and then we failed on a retest, and now, though, looks like we are holding 84.1 as support. I still think eventually, however long this pattern plays out, if this thing extends out to, if we extend out to the end of March, the next 5 to 7 days, I think eventually we get a breakout. As you can see here, outside of this one deviation, we are getting a tightening range here from the price action of BTC. If we go to the lower time frames, I think I was looking at the 5-minute. Got another bear setup on the 5-minute for BTC. We're getting some decent spikes in volume, but this is just, and I'm curious if I throw on these bands. So not really tight on the 10. Let's look at the 5. Let's look at the 10. The 10's already breaking out to the upside here. But again, what you're looking at from a pattern standpoint is another bear flag, right? Let's draw this out. You have a big move to the downside, and then you have a rising wedge, rising channel. And again, these have like a 65 to 70% probability of breaking to the downside. Now, the next level to the downside would be, now, a lot of people are asking, well, should we long? The idea here would be, let's go ahead and long this bounce off 84.1. But I would proceed with caution. This was supposed to break down. We briefly broke above. Again, no momentum, no velocity. We came back down into this range. So could we come back and test the top end of this range again? Sure. Or this could be a failure. We spend maybe a couple candles up at 84,000. We push up to, I don't know, the next high, which is around 84.8, 84.7. That's where the price kind of consolidated. And then we just spill off, whether that's off of the back of news, whether that's off the back of just market structure. Maybe that crazy hyperliquid whale guy who from the UK, I forget what his name was. Either way, maybe he puts in another big short position and everyone panics. Either way, I'm not touching longs at the moment. There's only one long that I entered. Well, two longs. One was XLM, made some money on that one. It got filled at 25.88. I think I took profit at like 29 cents. That was on my personal account. And then a Bitcoin short at 86.8, I think. Bitcoin short. And then we closed that thing right at 84,000. We expected that bounce. And so for BTC, for me, let it rally. Let's get to the top end of this range. It kind of has confluence between the 86 and 86.5, right to the top end of that trend line for this pattern. And then I expect a spill off down, and let's test 84K again. And eventually, I think 84K gives, and we make a trip back down. We tap 81.4. What does price action do there? Are there any opportunities? We'll have to wait and see. 80,000 flat. So this zone between 80 and 81.5. And then I think ultimately we get a dip down to this 70, between 77 and 73.5. I think that will be the bottom for BTC. I could very well be wrong, which either way, if I'm wrong, my spot bags will be fine. If I'm right, we'll make money on the way down. We'll use that money to add to our Bitcoin position, and we'll make money that way. So that's just a little analysis on Bitcoin. So I think it's a boom or bust here for BTC. What does price do? Does that bear pennant get invalidated, or do we come in and do we come back down, fail at 84K level, and drop down to the low 80s and then eventually into the 70s? What are you guys' thoughts, man? I'm curious. Just looking at the chat here. Say hello to some people. Diamond Hands Daryl, what's going on, brother? Mario, Vinny, Papa. Papa's the newest member. What's up, brother? Welcome to the channel, man. I know you signed up for a membership earlier. Want to thank you for your support. Y'all know my favorite government bowel movement tracker said, chill out, I'm here. What's going on, brother? Uncle Jesse, shout out to all the mods. French Toaster, Melissa said she's lurking and working. What do you do for work, Melissa, if you don't mind sharing? Just curious. And then NW, Bearded Mac Mike. I think I got everyone. So welcome, you guys. Welcome. Let's take a look at the markets and what the rest of the markets are doing. So kind of a flat day today. We did see that rally up to 87K for BTC. We saw a little bit of rally in alts. No idea what the hell this is. What is form? Binary X. Okay. No idea what that is either. Kava Bank, nothing really changed from this morning. Now, the 1 hour, Cosmos is rallying 2%. You know, let's take a look at a Cosmos chart. And then I actually have a Solana chart I want to take a look at too. Solana is actually, I think Solana is about to reverse. I know it's crazy. It's like, you think Bitcoin's going to go bottom, but Solana's going to reverse? It could very well happen. We see a reversal in Solana up to that 145, and I'll look at the chart in a little bit as Bitcoin starts to trend down or falls down. And so that can happen, but overall, sentiment-wise, bearish. But the Solana chart, I mean, here, let's just go there now. Which, by the way, do you guys know what the hell this blinking line is? Because I was trying to figure out how to get it removed, but I couldn't do it. It's only on the Solana chart. Weird. Either way, Solana, this is Solana on the weekly. And I'm going to plop out this range here. And we're going to take this range from here to here, okay? And I want you to take a look at what did price do at these levels, okay? And again, this is on the weekly. On the way up in 2021, this is where we saw our first big retracement. Price dipped down to 116 from a local swing high of 217. And then we stopped out there and the rally continued on the way down. One candle. This was a 32.5% candle on the weekly. We completely fell through this range, but we attempted a retest, failed. Attempted another retest, created a higher high, ultimately failed, and then this was the bear market on the way up from 2024, end of 2023, 2024 to now. On the relief rally from $23, we got stopped out right at the top end of this range at $128. We consolidated. We started creating a kind of a rising channel. And then we ultimately got the breakout. We came back to retest on a wick, but we broke out. And then on the way down, these retests, every single time, Solana, and I'm trying to find my brush here. So here we had multiple wicks that held. Here we had multiple wicks and closes that held. We had this massive wick that ended up being a spinning top slash doji pattern that eventually gave us our reversal. Here again, close and wick. And more recently, this was a massive hammer candle that actually didn't play out like it usually does, which is typically a reversal signal at the bottom of a downtrend. It did not play out. We did see another big weekly dump from Solana at around 30%. But again, stop that at the wick, closed above where we opened, and that is where we are now. And we're essentially consolidating here at this key level for Solana. Let me get rid of that one. Get rid of that one too. So, a couple of things happening. One, bodies are getting smaller. Two, the wicks are getting larger. The wicks were larger last week. Now, obviously, this week still has some time to go, about 3 days and 3 hours. But we're seeing signs of bearish exhaustion, okay? Volume is decreasing. RSI is kind of floating steady around 39.40, so it's not really considered oversold, but it's not really strong either. And we're seeing prices open and close where they open and close. So here, price opens at 126, closes at 125. Here, price is opened at 126, and it's currently trading at 128. Exhaustion is here for Solana. How much lower can it go? I think the whole FUD of the FTX unlocks, people worried about the selling, the dumping, the transaction volume is down because of meme coins, which are all, they're fine, like thesis to have as to why you would be bearish on Solana. But I think Solana, at least to get a relief rally. Now, the question would be, where would this rally end? And the first thing I'll do is let's throw on our price action concepts here from Lux Algo. Kind of get a peek of where some big order blocks coming in, and look at where Solana is consolidating here, okay? Let me get rid of these. Look at where Solana's price is consolidating. At this order block where 33% of volume was traded, around 140 million Solana. We had a liquidity grab to the downside that pushed the price back up to that current weekly high of $135. And that is where price is consolidating. So that is a positive sign as well. If we get rid of this and we see if we have any, I know we're not going to get any volume points. No, we're not. Let's take a peek at our cloud. This is bullish. Now, we did have a cloud reversal here to favor the bear, so that's not good. We also had a crossover of our baseline crossing above our conversion line. That's also a bearish signal. But price tapped the bottom end of our cloud, and if you would have entered that trade there on a long, that would have been a perfect entry. That would have been at $114. I think we actually made money on that trade there as well. But we are in no man's land. So to me, I look at the Solana chart, and I don't think I got to put in a trade now. I think, okay, this could be the first signs of a short to intermediate term reversal for the price of Solana. The price dumped massively from $295, I'll call it $300 down to $110. And we're seeing positive price action here on Solana. Now we are trading within the cloud, which old Japanese trading strategy says you don't do anything. This is no man's land. You wait, you come back, you want to break above this cloud. That retest area is going to be right around 146, which was a level I was going to say, let's see what price does here. And that is that level right there. No, not that level. It's to me, it's more of a zone. And let me make this a little thicker here. We like the thickness. Let's go 3-point, bam. And that's at 154. And if I remove this indicator, so my little man over there, he blamed me for losing a game of Fortnite. I was like, why? I just came in to say hi. Anyways, you take a look at this level here, okay? This purple resistance line. This has been a key resistance level for Solana until we broke out, got a retest, and we rallied to that $300 price level. So if you want to front run the market, which is not something I recommend you do, okay? But if you're looking at this and you're saying, look, David, I feel very confident the last time we saw this type of candle pattern, which is here, this is actually a perfect example, a perfect historical example. And let me, right there, okay? Very similar pattern here, okay? We saw two essentially spinning top slash doji patterns. The last one ended up being an inverted hammer, and it happened at this very region at $127. And price went on to rally. It stopped that at around $150 to $160. We saw a little bit of a retracement, and then that's when we had our rally to our all-time high, where our first high, which was 264, then we saw that retracement and then back up to $300. So you could be looking at this and saying, this is kind of deja vu here. I think something similar is going to happen. Now, back in 2024, the market sentiment was a lot different, right? You can look at this and say, all right, we're going to get a bounce. Here, though, I think the market sentiment is leaning more bearish than bullish. You look at the fear and greed index and just overall sentiment of traders and markets. And so I would want to wait to see what price does when it gets to the $154 level. I would be more keen on shorting Solana at $154. But if you want to take a shot at a potential relief rally for Solana, I think between $124 to $127 is a great area. We are still technically within the range. Well, we're right at that top end of our range here. And so if you want to take a flyer, I think 127 would be a good entry. If you were to go long, just have a tight stop loss. Have a very, very tight stop loss. I would have it right around $115 to $118 and look to exit your position before it hits $155. But on the higher time frame and on the shorter time frame, on the daily, we are coming out of a little bit of a bullish divergence here, right? Where we make a higher low on the RSI and a lower high on price for Solana on the daily. We already got a little bit of a rally here off of the bottom. We rallied around 17%. That would have been a nice trade setup. And so now, again, we're kind of in consolidation. We're giving back everything we're gaining in literally the very next candle. But again, just to recap, if you want to get into a long, now would be a great time. 124 to 127. Look to exit at around 155. But for me, looking forward, if we do get that rally, I'd look to reverse your position at $155 and look to ride this thing all the way back down to 127. Now, of course, these are all probabilities, right? No one really knows. We can get a big piece of news that comes out. Trump can say, we're getting rid of tariffs. Everyone dropped their tariffs, so are we. Cool, the markets rally, and none of this shit will matter. None of the indicators, none of the technicals, none of the patterns, nothing will matter. That's how quickly crypto can move. But with the information we have in front of us now, those would be some scenarios I'd be looking at. Caspa, shout out to Ashton today. What a great guest he was, huh? Those of you that watched the morning show, what an amazing guest. And so I wore my Caspa shirt in honor of Nacho and the Caspa fam today. Now we got a lot of Caspa people in here. Broke Yoshi, welcome. Poman, I think, what'd you give it, like $160 in super chats today, my friend? And we appreciate your support. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a peek at, let's look here. Let's look at the RSI heat map. And let me remove myself to the other side. And so this is the, by the way, this is a great kind of all information to kind of find out what charts to look at in one place. It's from coinglass.com. If you go up here and you click data, it'll be under RSI heat map under technical indicator. And you can go from the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4, 12, 24-hour, or the 1 week. We're currently on the 24-hour, and it kind of gives you a nice heat map of what's oversold, what's overbought. You take a look at, they have weak, oversold, neutral, strong, and overbought levels. So I like to look at oversold levels where projects between 20 and 30 on the RSI. Those are typically gives you the initial kind of indicator, the initial signal to let me go look at this chart, what is happening, start at the high time frames, work your way down and figure out if there's any opportunity to make money on a trade. So you look at something like Tensor, not really familiar. Badger, have no idea what that is, but Wormhole, I do know what that is. So let's take a peek at W. Let's pull the perpetuals here. WUSD. Let's start at the week time frame. What an ugly chart. My God. Okay, we're not really going to get info there. Let's go to the 3-day. I mean, 2-day? 1 day? Yeah, I wouldn't touch this thing, man. I mean, this thing is, it's a pretty ugly chart. I mean, like, honestly, if I was trading options and this was available, I'd be doing iron condors all day long. range bound between 8.29 cents and 9.19 cents for 10 days. Iron condor that thing and make money on the small bounces. But we're like, this is, I mean, you see a pattern here though, right? You guys see a pattern here, at least over the last, I don't know, going back to, we can maybe go back to January, where you see price take a big dip down, kind of consolidate sideways, boring, have a little bit of a rally and spill off, right? A little bit of chop, a little bit of a rally, spill off, chop, 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 no rally, spill off, chop, 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 no rally, spill off, and that's where we are, chop, chop, chop. So I would argue we'll probably have more downside, but there's no info down here. There's no levels we can look unless you pull fib retracements. And then you can take a look at, okay, well, this is the 618 level, the 1618, whatever levels you like to look at. But so this one's a dud. Not for me, nothing really. I see that I want to trade. So you can play around with this and take a look. The one I was looking at, I think it was on the 1 week, is Akash Network. Akash, I'm very bullish on Akash. The price action has been pretty crappy. I love the team, Greg Osori. I love their use case. I love their utility, what they bring to the table. I think they're in a space that's extremely important. And these are levels that we've had mapped out on Akash Network. So this value area that we've identified is between 75 and $1.10 for Akash. And we always go back on the higher time frame. Let's go to the weekly. This is our first weekly retest of this region. Off of a big spill off. And so we saw an initial reversal, but price is going down. Akash, actually, you know what? Akash might be a good long play here, at least in the very short term. And then where I would look to exit Akash, close my position, will be right around $1.59, $1.60. We can even take the previous week high, which puts us at $1.56. Now this high was on a wick, right? 153.85 or so. And this region, back in August of 23, that is where we had a rally and we stopped out on 2 weeks, 2 consecutive wicks, spill off, and then we came back up. And this is where we kind of chopped sideways. Price retested this level again until ultimately running to its all-time high of $6.44. But this thing has just been absolutely brutalized, right? We take a look at, let's draw the fib here from our initial breakout. We've given back everything, right? We got it and they took everything back for Akash. But again, this is a solid utility-focused project in a space that I'm super bullish on. And so if we hit this $1.10 level, $1.11, and you know what? As soon as we're done, I'm going to put in a limit long order on Akash at $1.11. Even if we get a small bounce, I'll look to exit at around $1.30. That's a nice, what is that, 15, 20% gain. Multiply that by however much leverage you use. I'd feel comfortable doing a higher leverage on this one at around $1.11. And if we zoom into the daily for Akash, let's see if we see any large high volume points. You have one at around $1.58. So we have some confluence there. If we continue to zoom in, let's go to the 4 hour. We'll see a lot more volume data. I mean, this thing looks like it's ready to reverse. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this chart tells me that Akash is ready to reverse. It's just been trending down for such a long time. It's kind of lulled people to sleep. But we look at other projects, tons of other examples of the same exact thing happening. And you can see how small these bodies are getting, right? So the trend is losing momentum. The downtrend is losing momentum as the bulls are trying to push the price up, but ultimately the bears are winning. Eventually, we're going to get a nice big bodied candle, maybe something like this. This ended up being a 20% daily candle. Excuse me, a 20% 4 hour candle here, or 18.8%. But the trend is losing steam. Volume is just massively down. Right, what is the volume here? The volume 58,000, 6,000. So I'm looking for a reversal in Akash. $1.11, put a limit order in. If you want to play it safe, $1.12, 12.5. If you really want this limit order to fill, ride that thing up to $1.30. Maybe pull out 50% at $1.30. If we do get some continuation at $1.53, 55, I'd make sure that I'm completely out of my long position on Akash, unless the overall markets have changed, the sentiment has changed, and we've got some kind of news that traders and Wall Street become bullish on, risk on assets. Maybe it's the Fed cutting rates. Maybe it's the Fed starting QE. I don't know. But all that aside, status quo is here. What we see now, 100% out at $1.53 and 50% out around $1.32, $1.35. So let's take a look at what smart money's doing. I'm going to take a little drink of water. So this is from Nansen.ai. We're not going to focus on what smart money is trading, but we're going to focus on what is smart money holding. And this is mid cap. So anything between 50 million and a billion in market cap. And so this is sorted by balance change over the last 24 hours. ATH, what is ATH? Let's take a look. Hopefully Bitcoin can get Aether. This is one that, you know what? I'll give credit to the community. This is one that you guys have been talking about that I have not really paid that much attention to, but maybe I should start paying attention to. Let's take a look at ATH. Oh, I had it on there already. We took a look at a chart. So we did look at this chart already. So this is on the 4 hour. Wow, tons of large volume points between 3 cents and 3.15 cents. There's a lot of buyers interested, and looks like smart money's accumulating 290% balance change over the last 24 hours. So that's pretty impressive. Orca is number 3 at 63% balance change over the last 24 hours. Now, if you're not familiar, Orca is like Meteora on Solana, essentially a market maker, a liquidity pool provider, essentially. And so that is at around 2.8 million balance for smart money. And we can also go to the small caps and mid caps. The problem is the small caps, you don't really know about them. They don't have a lot of liquidity. So if you're going to do that, I'd be more careful. And as you get smaller down, you get a micro caps, or you get to even, I don't know what's smaller than a micro cap. Just know, if you see this little symbol here, that means it's a recently launched token. Have your protocols in place. If you are going to follow what smart money's doing, make sure it's got enough liquidity, make sure the liquidity is locked, and make sure that the supply is not too centralized into 1 or 2 wallets, especially if those are 100% unlocked. So let's keep that in mind. But on the larger caps, Uniswap. Smart money is accumulating Uniswap. Changes around 5.81% over the last 24 hours. We take a look at a Uniswap chart. Now, I did not get to share the Uniswap news in the morning show. I will share it tomorrow. I'll make sure to highlight that. But kind of and this is not a news show, so I don't want to get into the article in the news. But what I will tell you is $160 million was just approved to fund the ecosystem and to push forward the fee. I forget what they call it. They're essentially going to give a percentage of trading fees to Uniswap holders. Smart money realizes that, hey, Uniswap by volume again is the largest DEX, period. And we're going to get a piece of that volume for a Uniswap holder. It's a no-brainer. It's a solid project. And so looking at the chart, we can start at the higher time frame for Uniswap. It's actually a fairly nice candle. I want to see some volume come in here for Uniswap. But Uniswap, this $3.90 level, if you guys were able to get that, I mean, we got that back on the 24th of August, and we almost got there last week, right? We got to a local low of $5.43. So that's a little too off of that. But this has been a key level for Uniswap, and we can even draw a box and take a look at price action in this area. Let's go back here, and let's take this thing to the top end of this range. There we go. So on the weekly, this is the kind of the zone, the area. We had this large consolidation phase. We had a couple of deviations outside of it. And again, this is during the bear market. And then we start to zoom in, and you see buyers are saying, hey, these levels for Uniswap, whether it's $4.64, whether it's $5.53, or large liquidity grabs at $6.60 and $6.30, traders are fairly confident in Uniswap. And I think the news that dropped today, add in Unichain, going away from leveraging ETH for the transactions and leveraging their own blockchain, right? Unichain, and leveraging their own token for those gas fees. I think it's a positive. We take a look at our personal indicator here, which is our liquidity flow index. Money flow is continuing to be green, and we just got a bullish crossover for our price sentiment above our midline, which has been a great kind of indicator to enter or exit a position for any token. And so Uniswap had a nice rally, got stopped out at the top end of this range. So from a confidence standpoint, I want to wait, and you might miss out on a little bit of gains. But for me in this market, if you are going to go long, again, my thesis is short the resistance, especially for Bitcoin. Some of these altcoins, though, in their little pods and narratives, they can have massive rallies. And Uniswap could very well be one of them. It could fit into the ETH narrative. It fits into the decentralized DeFi narrative. And now, again, with Uniswap and added utility to holding the token, it might just cause a demand shock, as I like to call it. But I want to see a retest of this upper end region here, which is $7.60. So to enter into a long Uniswap with decisiveness, with no fear of, I want to see price come above, test that high of $8.28, come back and show me you can hold $7.60. Prove to me that this is now support, not resistance, and then I will gladly enter a large long position on Uniswap, because I think at that point, Unichain is going on. Unichain is there. The money's starting to flow within the ecosystem. However they decide to spend it, I don't know the details of it. We'll share it again in more detail on the live show tomorrow. But Uniswap is one to keep on your radar. It's something that, from a speculation standpoint, but now knowing with the Unichain and of course the Uniswap holders, it could be a utility catalyst of people actually wanting to hold a token or actually needing to buy the token to pay for gas fees. Very similar to what you saw with Ethereum back during the NFT craze. You wanted to mint an NFT, you had to have Ethereum. And so, yeah. All right, I'm taking a peek in the chat. Drink water to zero. Well, I mean, what is wrong with you, man? Adam. I used to be bullish on Cosmos. Cosmos was one of the first cryptos I bought. Not one of the first cryptos, but with size, right? Like, not like a $10 or $20, but like actual, like, $5, $6, $7 grand. Adam was one of the first ones. Let's see. 2nd and 1, welcome in. Also, Greg. Where's Greg? Greg Milligan said, good TA. Thank you, my friend. What's the indicator showing the volume with those circles? Lee's said, what's the indicator showing the volume with those circles? I will tell you, Lee's. I'm not a hoarder of information. It is right here. It's called High Volume Points by Big Beluga. That is what it's called. And you can go in there and you can change your settings as far as the diameter of your circles, labels, and whatnot. And so again, I'm all about, let me get a good picture, and then I'll work my way down the time frames and I'll figure out what to do with current price action. And so this one is a lot. You get a lot more volume points on lower time frames, obviously, because more trading happens. So you can start at like a 4-hour and then work your way up to the daily. Weekly doesn't give you a lot of volume points, as you can see here, example 1 on Uniswap. So the daily, the 4-hour, and the 12-hour work great for these. So again, you can take a look. You don't want to short at these large volume pods, right? You want to call them pods or ellipses or whatever. You don't want to short them here, but you also don't want to just blindly long them. You want to see how price reacts at these levels. Just because there was 180 million Uniswap tokens bought in 2024 at $6.80 doesn't mean the same thing's going to happen. As you can see, we broke well below $6.80 and came back down to retest that $5.74 region. So, all right, let's take a peek at this one. How do chains compare? This is again from Nansen. How do chains compare on key metrics? And so I have this sorted by percentage change in transaction over the last 7 days. And you see CeeLo, not very familiar with what they do. I believe it's an L1. Aptos, though, very interesting. Former Meta employees, Facebook employees. Most Shake recently stepped down from Aptos. But let's take a look at an Aptos chart. You know, I was making a lot of money trading Aptos in and around their token unlocks. This was back in November, December of last year. That structure has changed a little bit as far as how price reacts because of just the overall sentiment of the market. But let's take a look. Of course, you know, you have these like sorted out. They're like perfect. And then you always have to go back and fucking bring it up again. Okay. So let's clear up this chart here. This is Aptos. Again, let's work higher time frame down. We're getting some, I mean, look, we've already looked at, how many altcoins have we looked at? We've looked at Solana, we looked at Akash Network, we looked at Uniswap. They're all showing strength on high time frames, okay? And before I dig into this chart, I want to take a look at Bitcoin dominance. This is on the week. Let's go to the day. Bitcoin dominance does not want to go above 61.78%. You want alt season, you need the Bitcoin dominance to come down. And we can remove the high volume points here. You want an alt season, you need dominance to fall below 50%, which would be, shit, way down. So this is 2021. So at the peak of the altcoin market, bull market, we were under 40% dominance. And this has just been an absolute, for altcoins, if you're a maxi, if you're Max, what's his name? Max Kaiser, you're so happy to see this. But if you're not Max Kaiser and you're degenerate like we are, this thing has just been grinding up and to the right, slowly bleeding out a lot of altcoins. But it looks like dominance might have topped, at least in the short term, because we saw dominance top here. We had a spill off, and then we came right back up to that 61.78 level for BTC. But going back to Aptos, I love what price is doing here. I love what price is doing here, and I'll just drop a line. Let's drop a horizontal line right there. $5.44. An absolutely massive level going all the way back to 2022. Resistance, support, 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 and now support. So this chart is good. If we get a retest of $5 again, not financial advice, but I would not only would I enter along, but I would buy. I would buy Aptos. I like what they're doing. They're making headways in RWA. And of course, their background of their team, very impressive. And so Aptos is looking really good on the chart. We probably will get another retest of this region. If we zoom out to the 4 hour, you do have this rising channel forming, which we know historically breaks to the upside, or excuse me, breaks to the downside, right? And so I would expect this to get one more flush down, one more break to the downside. And your technical measured move would be, we take the width of this channel. Depending on where, if we break here, we are perfectly tapping that $5 region. If we break anywhere, I don't know, between March 22nd and the 23rd, you're looking at around $5.10. You want to keep things easy for your trading journey, whether you're a trader or a scalper or a swing trader. Just put in limit orders, man. Put in limit orders. Put in one at $5.11. Put in one at $5 even, or $5.08. Let that thing fill. Write it up. It'll probably see some sort of resistance right around that $5.50, $5.80 level. And then we'll see what price does. If the markets are hot, Bitcoin dominance is falling, we might just come right back into this channel and break above, make support on top, and try to take out some of these weekly highs we had on Aptos. Right? The big one for me would be $6.75. That would be the big one for me. So Aptos, fundamental standpoint, great. Technical standpoint, the chart looks really good. So yeah. That's on Aptos. BNB chain, again, this one we kind of talked about. My kid's being extra loud. I'm about to yell at him after the show's over. BNB chain, 20% gain in transactions. Again, this is one we talked about in our Patreon about a month ago. a new BNB meta. I've been very critical of BNB. I've called it the scam chain as far as, and this is not a knock against Binance, BNB, or CZ. It's just that's what scammers were using. That was their chain of choice. That has been Solana now, has been their chain of choice. It is what it is. They're gonna go where it's cheap and it's fast, and a lot of users are. And so it is what it is. But BNB, bullish on BNB, and holding BNB has always been a great move as well, as we know how it performs extremely well in bear markets. H Bar Bean said rate cuts in May and is the bottom in. I don't think the bottom is in, and rate cut in May. I think is the next meeting in May? Let's take a look at an FOMC calendar. Yeah, you're right. May 7th. Oh, that's bright. So this is your FOMC calendar. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see. May 7th, June 18th. I don't know about May. You know, listening to JP, Jerome Powell yesterday, the wait and see. We need more data, persistence. I think June is more likely. I think June, and then they wait. And then I think going into the end of the year, whether it's the October or the December meeting, I think we get that last rate cut. Now, of course, if shit hits the fan, the markets start bleeding, then yeah, I think we can get more than 2 rate cuts. It's just fucked up that the Fed is so reactive and not more proactive. If they were proactive, we'd be in a lot better position financially than we are today. And so what they're going to do is they're going to wait till something breaks, panic, and then they'll start cutting rates into oblivion. They'll go to 0 or 1% or whatever that number is. The markets will rebound. It'll get overheated. And then they'll start seeing inflation come in, and then they'll start hiking rates. It is what it is. Can't control what the Fed does, and they don't answer to anyone but themselves. So to answer your question, my friend, no, I don't think it's going to be May. I think it's more likely to be in June, and then the last rate cut will come towards the end of the year, either in October or December. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I think we really need the Fed to cut interest rates to really spur the market and signal to Wall Street that, hey, guys, bring your money back here. Bring your money back here. Did my guy ever ask his wife if he has a high neck? No, I don't think I did. That's all I got, man. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate every one of you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, have your notification bell on, and we'll see you in the morning show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, guys, peace.